to expose your evil to the whole world.
What kind of threat is that? Everybody knows I'm evil.
I miss when Mom was actually evil. When she was a full-blown megalomaniac, instead of this painfully on-the-nose social commentary about the latest corporation run amok. Back when she was having her sons drug and kidnap people who stood in the way of her financial gains. Fox-run Mom just hit different.
Let the bloodbath begin!
She was still a critique of capitalism, but one that was a little more nuanced and well-developed, rather than just a series of overworn jokes about existing companies. Since Bender's Game, Mom has often just been a stand-in for some of the wealthiest or most controversial super conglomerates. We've seen Mom represent ExxonMobil, Apple, social media companies, Monsanto, and now Amazon. But each time, the commentary seems to fall short of saying anything really meaningful.
I mean, it is convenient, though.
The older version of Mom should have given the writers the ability to go all in with the evil these companies can commit, allowing her to act as almost a caricature of corporate ghoulery.
I've got a big thirst for human blood!
Instead, the criticisms levied against these companies are weak rehashes of viral headlines.
Plus, they let you pee in a bottle.
I'm not saying you shouldn't be making jokes about this stuff. I'm saying these jokes don't go far enough. The so-called evil committed by Mom's companies post-Fox run is nothing compared to some of the shit we see their real-world counterparts get up to. Even worse, some of these stand-ins basically run cover for the actual evils some of these companies can commit. Attack of the Killer app is probably the mildest offender. The episode has a fairly tepid commentary on Apple, briefly highlighting issues like tech waste, forced scarcity, and some of the more personal inconveniences associated with technology.
You have no choice of carrier, the battery can't hold a charge, and the reception isn't very—
Shut up and take my money!
But much like a lot of the other episodes we'll talk about, a lot of the focus was on the consumers rather than the company. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. In fact, in a killer app, it works well. While the Apple critique does fall short, the social media commentary is well done and still kinda relevant today. We as individuals play a large role in what makes social media such a shitty place to be these days. Of course, the lack of privacy, ads, and corporate meme accounts are outside of our control, but the fact that toxic shit is what goes viral, well, that's on us.
You're gonna have to sink to Bender's level.
The insightful commentary doesn't go much further than that, though. Mom is using the Twitcher app to spread a virus to get everyone to buy the iPhone 2, even though they all already lined up like zombies to buy the first one. There's no discussion of the inhumane manufacturing processes of the phones or how our disposable approach to these technologies perpetuates those conditions. I get it. That's a heavy topic, and maybe an animated sci-fi cartoon isn't the place to discuss it. But here's the thing, it's already discussing it. And when you're invoking specific real-world entities when you do it, you need to consider what you're actually saying. The worst example of this is Leela and the Greenstock. In this episode, Mom runs a floating genetic research facility called Monsanto, based on the real-world company Monsanto.
Our experiments would be illegal on Earth, but up here, I'm above the law.
And that's it. That's the extent of Mom's evilness, or at least close to it. She repeatedly talks about feeding the starving masses, albeit for money, but the majority, if not all, of her genetic experiments have positive intentions, like curing Leela and that giant guy. The episode is ultimately more about GMOs than anything else, and it takes a positive stance on them. Like, okay, yeah, duh, genetic engineering isn't inherently evil. It's responsible for a lot of great things, including synthetic insulin. That's not the fucking problem with Monsanto. The actual problem with Monsanto is the carcinogenic pesticides killing farmers and the seed patents that are, well, I guess, also killing farmers, in a way. Either literally or conceptually, whichever one doesn't get me sued. Related to items you viewed has elements of both of these other Mom episodes. A lot of the comedy and commentary is coming from how we as individuals interact with Amazon. Most of these jokes didn't really land for me because I don't really use Amazon. Fuck Amazon. There are plenty of jokes for people like me, though.
They're much better than unions. I mean humans.
But that right there is kind of the problem. Once again, Mom is essentially running cover for the real-world company she's emulating. Amazon has a lot of problems. But one of the more well-known issues is the working conditions. I've never worked at an Amazon warehouse myself. I don't know the conditions firsthand. Maybe some of them are adequate, others are probably nightmarish. Guaranteed, either way, no one is getting paid nearly enough. But none of that is relevant to this episode because Mom uses robots. It effectively shuts down the potential for commentary around the issue, but still jokes about it.
That warehouse is hiding nightmares beyond horror. Love the return policy, though.
I'm not pearl clutching here, or saying we can't joke about serious issues or some bullshit like that. I thought plenty of these jokes were funny, but the commentary is so light it feels performative, undercutting the whole message. Our own world is becoming increasingly automated, but I assure you it is not automated yet. Amazon sure wishes it was, and it wants its human laborers to act like the automatons that will eventually replace them. Having Momazon entirely staffed by robots and comparing it to Amazon helps the viewer mentally distance themselves even further from the human cost of their modern conveniences. Mom is a character in the Futurama universe that used to basically have supervillain status, and she's been reduced to this neutered version of Amazon. Rest in peace, Bob Barker. Mom's friendly robots and Mom's friendly delivery service protect their interests with deadly force when necessary. Hell, even when unnecessary.
Someone said howitzer!
This extreme version of Mom makes occasional appearances in the Comedy Central episodes, but rarely ever when she's running these parody companies. Mom is still her old-fashioned ruthless self in Bender's Game, when she's running Momble, mining planets until they physically collapse and then imprisoning the inhabitants, while under due protection, I might add, protecting her facilities with armies of killbots, and using her monopoly to falsify a dark matter shortage to drive the price up. This all culminates with Mom taking the form of a literal dragon, a creature known for hoarding wealth. Instead of having Mom represent the watered-down versions of Apple and Amazon, and the good version of Monsanto, for some reason, she should be the completely unhinged and dangerous version of these companies. This is, after all, the woman who had her robots rebel to take over Earth simply because she wanted to rule it.
Just once, before I die, I'd like to be supreme overlord of Earth.
Apply that approach to Momazon, and I think we see a very different company. Momazon shouldn't just be Amazon oops all robots. Momazon should have been systematically shutting down every single company on Earth until it's the only place to work and is the only place to get your basic needs. Like if everyone on the Axiom in WALL-E also had to work at By and Large. There's a tiny bit of this in the episode. Not an aggressive takeover, but a takeover nonetheless. I actually think it's handled pretty well. Mom's decision to let Invasa continue because she's still getting all the profits? Perfection. And then of course there's the rapid expansion of offerings from Momazon throughout the episode as they slowly creeped their way into more and more aspects of people's lives until it fully enveloped them.
It's weird how they just sat there and let it happen.
Anyway, thanks for watching, bye.